Tēnā rā hoki tātou katoa e te iwi e te whānau, koutou e mātakitaki mai ana I tēnei punua pāho. I kia nei ko te Kura Arotea. Can we talk for a minute? And I have a couple of brothers here who are keen to talk for a minute. Now, I know before I introduce them e te whānau, just want to share that, you know, our conversation today is all about Tāne. Because big boys don't cry. And well, we might be expelling that myth today. We'll see what these brothers have in store for us. But introducing our first manuwhiri, he mihi nui tēnei ki a koe Tahi, o Tahi Ruru tēnei e te whānau, no reira whakamārama mai, bro. Ko ai koe, no whea koe, hiaha tō mai.
Kia ora wā, hei. Ko paniora te maunga, manga whiro te awa o Tainui te waka, nā te rekawa te iwi, nā te apunga te hapu, paparamu te marae, ko Tahi Ruru ahau. Kia ora, thank you for having me. My mahi at the moment is working for Mokuponora. My waikato Tainui is a pautiaki. They're working with our whānau. They have our tamariki that are in long-term care and working towards getting our tamariki back to whakapapa whānau. Been in the mahi for almost a year now. I originally come from working for Oranga Tamariki, so working a lot in the youth justice sector. Where I spent most of my mahi life. In the youth. Kia ora, thank you for you.
Tēnā koe Tahi, and thank you for all that mahi, bro. Making a difference for our whānau out there. No reire mihi nui e hoa. And our second manuwhiri, joining us today, ko Kotuku Hakopa. No reire Kotuku, mihi nui tēnei ki a koe. E hoa, whakamārama mai, no whea, hiaha tō mahi.
Kia ora whānau, my name is Kotuku. Heuri tēnei mā ngā iwi o Ngāti Tuwhareto, Ngāti Kāngungu ki Wairarapa, hoki. Kia ora tōki mahi. I have a background in health, so I'm a registered nurse. Mainly worked in psychiatric type. At the moment, mahi au ki te kōhau health as a health improvement practitioner or niwareka. So that role is based within the GP setting. So working in primary mental health, trying to minimise barriers for whānau to access, I guess, mental health services.
Mihi nui tēnei ki a koe e Kotuku. Thank you both for joining us for this conversation about Tāne. Now, the subtitle for this episode is, you know, Big Boys Don't Cry. And we're going to start it there because I think, you know, this is really dealing with the side of men that we don't like to share, you know, which is the vulnerable side, the side that's hurting, you know, and the side that may need to have a tangi. You know, and I suppose we'll start off with you, Kotuku, you know, and your mahi, you know, dealing with whānau in the GP services that you support. You know, what are some of the things that our men are dealing with in those spaces, bro?
What are men dealing with in those spaces? That's a good question. I think initially the question I think I kind of think about in my head is that are men accessing because at times I think that's probably the biggest hump to get over. Actually getting our Tāne into see us. And so I think that's the first question for me anyway. Are men coming to see us? When they do see us, what are they presenting with? How are we creating an environment that is within the company? I think anyway, those are the questions that kind of run through my mind. But I get a lot of our Tāne. There's a lot of Tāne coming in with anxiety and depression. That's what I'm saying. Especially anxiety. I think it's a big thing that we don't really show off to anyone. We kind of hold it in and just kind of try and deal with life, and then then something massive happens. You know what I'm seeing and what I've experienced throughout my mind.
Yeah, so man, and just thinking about what you shared, bro, like anxiety is really, really common. You know, this is, like feeling uneasy, right? This is pretty much what anxiety is. Yeah. It's kind of like, I just feel kind of weird. I just don't feel like I'm settled. I just don't feel easy. It feels uneasy to me, you know? And a lot of the times we're like fully unaware why we're feeling those ways as well. And, what you just shared is, this is what we find with most men who come in. They're just sort of like, dealing with anxiety in life. And, I think for myself, I'm like, a lot of the times when I am feeling anxious, like that feels like I just want to shut down and sort of just do my own thing, right? Where it's not like, when I'm feeling anxious, it's not like, oh man, I want to go and talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
Talking to someone's probably the last thing I ever want to do, eh?
Yeah.
And, and how do you, when brothers do come in and they are kind of like, oh man, I'm feeling anxious, straight away, they don't want to say anything. Like, how do we open up spaces for brothers to actually start to share and talk in those spaces?
I think part of it depends on them as well, if they're ready or not. There are whānau that do show up but aren't ready to share yet, and that's okay. I think that's something that we need to kind of recognise, that we don't need to dive straight into anything. We just need to create a whanaunga, a safe space for our brothers to come in and have a korero. And they can korero about anything, you know what I mean? And that's how we get started.
Yeah. And how do you create those safe spaces with them, bro?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. For me, I don't want to say it comes naturally, because it doesn't all the time. But I think, in my mind and my whakaaro, that I'm not the expert. Does that make sense? Oh, I don't know anything about their life or their upbringing, and so how can I tell them to do something that I haven't experienced?
Yeah.
And so in my whakaaro, I'm just there to walk alongside them, and just to offer perspective. Listen, for one.
Yes.
That's massive. And if they're not ready to share, then I just ask questions like, hey, where are you from? Hey, what do you get up to? What do you like to do? And just kind of, and then again.
Yeah. What I could hear too, bro, is essentially you just want to build up a relationship with it where you can just have a yarn about whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't really even matter what you're going to have a yarn about. But what's important is that you build a relationship that allows you to have a talk, right? And then once that relationship's building up, then of course there's going to be the opportunity for them to go, well, actually, man, and who knows how long down the track that's going to be, right?
Yeah.
But creating the safe space, right? Just know that I'm here to listen to you. Oh, that's awesome, bro. Yeah. And then also for you, Brother Tahi, with your work for Mokopuna Ora, you're dealing with not just Tāne, not just the whole whānau too, but you're dealing with, Tāne and wahine and these Tāne that you deal with. It's got to be difficult for some of them too, with, when we're dealing with fostering tamariki and, and then having these other whānau look after tamariki. And to share a little bit about that mahi that you do, bro, in Mokopuna Ora.
Yeah, I think it's especially for our Tāne that are in the space where our mahi that are taking on rangatahi there or tamariki that aren't out of their loins, I guess. So whānau, it can be a bit hard for them, because trying to alter that mindset for them on how to navigate their process, especially when oranga tamariki involved there, because there's so many policies and I suppose guidelines or rules that oranga tamariki have that us as whānau, or how we parent our own kids, sort of there's a spotlight being put onto that. So you can come into yourself and start thinking about, am I actually doing things right, or where am I going wrong, or what do I need to do better? And I think a big thing for our whānau too is that they there's this thing that they call a tick box. So we're going to do whatever we can to tick the box, so that OT's just not hounding on us,
Yes.
or looking at every aspect of our life and how we do it. That plays a big part with our wahine and Taane. But I think the biggest thing in my mahi that I see with fathers is that our fathers that are there fighting for their tamariki, wanting to get their kids back. Things that they go through, and just having their voice advocated for, having their voice heard. Because sometimes you can come across it, and it happens where our Tāne's voice is minimised because we're the Tāne, because we're the father. It's taking nothing away from our wahine. They do a massive job. They 9 times out of 10 hold our whānau together, look after our tamariki and all that. But we got fathers out there that are fighting as well. They're good fathers. And when they haven't been heard, it plays on them.
Yes.
They're trying to do better. They're trying to do good. They're trying to access services. They want the help, but then often they're put second. And then what does that do for a man's self-worth? What does that do for a man's hinenaro, his love for himself? It just starts smacking them down. So we're there to build them up, and then just like the bro was saying, be there and just listen to his quarter or where he's come from, his whakapapa, everything. And how can we help you, bro? Like, at the end of the day, you're steering the ship. Wherever you want to go, we'll come with you, and we'll do what we can to help you. And a lot of the times just sitting there listening and empowering our whānau. Empower them to, you are worthy, you are good enough, you can do this, you're gonna get your kids back, right? Like, it's just a lot of you got to be empathetic with our whānau. Got to be really empathetic and listen to their story, as in listen to it. Not let it just go in their ears. Listen to where they come from. Listen to their hurt, their mama. Listen to their joys. Whatever it is, just listen and then work with them, work alongside them. Do the best you can.
Yeah, awesome, Tahi, and that's awesome. Really supporting, what Kotuku was saying about how do we create these spaces, right? Yeah, and what I'm really getting is that the power of listening and the power not only of what the listening does, but the impact that it has on the man who's sharing. That this fella's like, this brother's actually getting me.
Yeah,
he gets me.
Yeah.
He's actually taking this in right now, and I can see his head nodding.
Yeah.
And I can, the bro's feeling what I'm saying to him, right?
Yeah,
You can feel with him. And when somebody can sit down with you and just be that open listener for you, you just feel like somebody's got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. That's what I'm getting. That's the safe space that's created for our men. Is that, this is I got you space, bro. I'm with you. I'm with you space. That's what you're saying. You're driving the ship, cuzzy.
Yeah.
We're just here to help you to drive it where you need to get it to go now.
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Yeah.
It's awesome. When I think about a lot of our men, and not just our men who are working with mokopuna ora or oranga tamariki, I'm just like, our brothers, our men, our cousins, we're all dealing with stuff, right?
Yeah.
We all are. And we think about the expectations that are on men these days, and of course, big boys don't cry is one of the expectations that has kind of filtered up from from the days of our old mans, from the days of of my dad and his generation of, stay hard generation, and, don't let anybody see you crack. You've got to look like you've got it all together all the time. What are some of the other expectations for you, Kotuku, that you're sort of aware of, that you've kind of grown up with, or that you've observed over your times, becoming this man that you are now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, like you said, a lot of the expectations that you don't show. We don't say. I wouldn't say no emotion, but we don't show soft emotion. Yeah.
So what emotions are all good for a man to share then?
Oh, well, okay. That's a good question. Do you want the long or the short story? I don't know. I guess in my mind, emotions is on a spectrum. And to experience just emotion, we can't just isolate it from all of it, or else we just isolate emotion, if that makes sense. To experience the highs, or we need to have some experience, or be open to experiencing the lows as well. Because life doesn't mean to be just straight linear and down. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal to be anxious. It's normal to feel low in mood. It's just not healthy to stay. So in my mind, we should be open to experiencing all the emotions on the pitch, because that's how we would feel the most. Generous, that we feel the most value for is that we know that we think about it. And we're honest with us. I do think, I guess another korero around the expectations is that um, I feel like to be a man in this day and age, it's changing. So the expectation isn't just the same anymore. There's all these different expectations. Oh, you need to be soft, or you need to be hard. So I don't know if that adds another spanner to the korero, but it's hard to be one or the other. So I think that's what I find difficult. What does Taane actually look like?
Yeah.
What does that actually look
Yeah.
like? And so I can't answer that for everyone. I can just only answer that for me.
Yeah.
Whether or not I want to cry or whether or not I want to show some type of anger. It's I don't think we should hold ourselves back because we hold in everything that we're the mama.
Yeah, kia ora, bro. Yeah, well, what I'm hearing too is that, we're just not sure. A lot of us men are growing up, we're just not sure what it is to be a man and how a man should behave or how they should act, and what we should get up to and what we shouldn't get up to. And, there's a lot of, people are unsure about that. And, I know a couple of weeks ago, we had a rites of passage out at Whaingaroa with Tāne and the Pautama Rites of Passage Trust held that out there. And that's what I'm getting from that gathering, right? Was that there's a way to ensure you can learn about, this is the how men can be. This is the way men can be as fathers. This is the way a man can be as a husband, as a brother, as an uncle even. There's all these different ways that men can be. And in the rite of passage, that's where you're introduced to all these different examples of men. That's where you're given the opportunity to have conversations with them, to actually experience those men, to work out, what makes these men who they are, so that these other young fellas coming through on that rite of passage can go, oh man, I'm going to model myself on these group of men, who are loving contributors to their families.
Yeah.
However, if you've grown up, say, in a whānau that doesn't get on with one another, if you've grown up in a whānau who are, warring against each other, who are arguing, that's what you're going to learn as your example of what a man is. This angry guy, well, that's who I've seen as being a man, so I'm going to become that kind of man. We've got all these examples. And, for, I suppose, for the experiences that you fellas have had in your lives, how did you guys work out that, this is what a man is? I might give this one to you, Tahi. Like, who in your life has been your experience of, this is a man I could be, or it may not have just been one man. You might have several men who you've kind of, taken examples from of how you can be a man. Has that been the case in your life, bro?
Yeah, I think there's a few men that have contributed to myself on how to become a man or father, partner, as a Tāne, but I think there's also a few wahine as well that have contributed to that. I think we touched on it before, is that we grew up with fathers that are, oh, bro, shush, be quiet, hey, or harden up, get out of the way, those types of things. So you as a young teenager and all that, you start growing up thinking that, you have to be hard, and whatever I'm feeling or my hurt doesn't mean anything. If it doesn't mean anything to my father, then it's not going to mean anything to anyone else. So you start believing that, and as you get older, society puts that on other Tāne, other mates, even mates, close mates, even though it's a joke sometimes. Hey, harden up, you all right?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I can't share, can't share with my bros. But I think the biggest one would be my rugby coaches, bro. Like growing up playing rugby, they had a few good rugby coaches. They were hard as nails, but then also really soft at the same time. It was like they had the perfect balance of how hard to be, but they could push you to a limit, but never over push you.
Yeah.
You know, we never overstep the mark.
Yeah.
So they helped heaps, and then created that environment as a team, where you can actually share your experiences with each other and with your coach. But also, I'd say like having like my mother, you know, she was a strong lady, little Pākehā lady too. You know, she really helped shape me and gave me the power to be able to be, you know, soft, be able to be emotional, be able to cry over it. Like, you know, it's our biggest thing. It wasn't until I was older that I understood that actually shedding some tears is so helpful in overcoming all the past traumas that whatever they are. So she's really helped me as well. I just want to touch because it is hard to know how to be a man in this day and age. Because, you know, we get told that we can be soft and we can be vulnerable, we can share those experiences, but at the same time, you know, from certain people, you get told, "Oh, bro, you're being a bit too soft, being a bit too vulnerable." So it's like, "Oh, what are you? How are you to tell me the measure of my vulnerability or measure of my softness? Like, what are you? Who are you to tell me that I'm being too soft?" You know?
Yeah.
And that's hard to navigate, bro. Like that's real hard, especially in relationships, because you want to be that, you know, you want to be that perfect partner, you're that perfect husband, the father, the son. You know, you just want to be the best you can be, and I think it's what it comes down to is know that as long as you're doing it, you know, you think you're doing it your best for your family and your kids, and that, then that's enough.
Yeah.
And you know that's enough, and just keep on going and creating that support network, finding other brothers that, you know, understand that in those times of need where you just need to release, need to release and get it out. That you're safe, that you have a safe space for that. You know, and those types of networks that we need to be building for our Tāne this day and age. Those spaces, where they can come and just, you know, be the absolute most vulnerable, be the absolute most softest person they can be, just so that, you know, they know it's safe and it's all good to be like that.
Yeah. Beautiful, bro. And I love how you acknowledged your mum. You know, I feel the same way about my mum. I think I'm the nurturing, caring father I am, because I paid heed to how my mum brought me up. You know, and that's not how my dad brought me up. You know? He brought me up in other ways. You know, as I said, in the male roles of the whānau and the more masculine roles that I had to take on, right? And, you know, what I'm getting from what you were just sharing too, bro, was that even though we're males, we still have masculine and feminine roles to play. You know, even though we're males, and, you know, and I think this is the thing that gets in the way of us as males, you know, being able to cry comfortably, you know, is that for us, crying is for women, crying is feminine, and men are masculine, you know, and when we box ourselves straight into that masculine box, it's like anything feminine or anything that kind of seems soft is not invited, shouldn't be here, you know, but as, you know, we know that, you know, us men, well, I mean, this is something I've come to learn last year actually, was that, you know, as we're being created in the kōpū of the whare tangata inside of our mums, we're actually female first. That everyone is female first, and then men actually mutate. We're mutant females. So that's my justification for my feminist side. I was like, oh yeah, well, I was a wahine when I was in mum's kōpū, you know, and then this mutation happened and I became a Tāne. So that wahine side of me is always going to be there. You know, even though physically I'm appearing as a man. But, you know, on the inside, there's two of me in here. You know, there's a female or feminine and there's a masculine side. So, I was getting that from what you were sharing too, bro. But the other thing that came through loud and clear was the importance of creating spaces for men to come together and share it together. You know, to actually reveal those feminine sides to one another, to make it okay to be like that, you know. And it's not like 24/7 be feminine. No, it's like whenever that's called for. Hey, whenever my kid needs a hug, rather than I'll give you something to cry about, right? which is what we've kind of learned that trick from the old school as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to confess, I pulled that one out too. I pulled that one out of my bags of this is what I've seen in my childhood.
Yeah.
And then, you know, but I cleaned it up later. And I said to them, oh man, I'm not going to yell at you like that again, son. It's not the one, doesn't feel nice. He's like, hey, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I love how you shared about the expectations that are on men too. You know, that's a huge one, man. It's like, and for us as men, I think, you know, these roles that we play, a lot of them determine how we show up, you know. And then if we, you know, if I think about, you know, because for your mahi at the koho, would you see a wide range of people of different ages and different genders and stuff?
Yeah, different genders, different ethnicities. So it's anyone that's registered at the clinic.
Right.
Yeah. We try to focus on our Māori, so we try to reach out to our Māori whānau specifically, because we know they're the ones that, they're barely coming in, unfortunately, and so we just want to touch base and see if they need people. So yeah, that's our main focus.
And what are some of the challenges in actually addressing mental health for men, bro? You're full of space.
I think, well, as Tahi was speaking, I was thinking about myself and something about what you said around having the feminine side and the masculine side. It's interesting that there's probably a select few people that I know I can reach out to and just be whatever, if that makes sense. Which I'm quite lucky. There's very few, but I know that I can, you know, pick up the phone, give them a call. They'll answer. I don't need to talk about anything specifically, but I just know they're there.
Yeah.
I have my group of people that I can contact, and so I'm really grateful for that. And just, I guess, going back to your, what was your question? I guess the challenges for men and opening up, I think. I don't know if I have an answer for that at the moment.
Yeah, well, just from what you shared, if you don't have your circle, right, then it's just me. You know, if you don't have those people that you know you can call up and have these conversations with, you know, who you can air stuff with, you can just, you know, release stuff with. You go, I just got to get this off my chest, bro. You know, if you've got those crew, then you're sweet. But a lot of people don't. You know, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges is like, where's my crew? Where's my bros that I can sit down with, that I can cry with, you know, that I can actually like share my broken heart with? You know, where's my bros at? And a lot of times there isn't none. So, you know, it's just we get stuck by ourselves. And I think these are some of the biggest challenges, like for men in terms of our health.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to go to the doctors.
Yeah.
We don't want to find out that there's some issues.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, nah, like ignorance is bliss almost, right? Just don't tell me about that stuff and it won't hurt me. You know, but what I'm getting is that fear of being hurt again. There is actually a fear of being hurt, you know, which is why we don't want to share in spaces. So I might say something and someone might laugh at me or whatever. They might just think little of me, right? And I think these are some of the challenges that men are facing or that we're facing as men too, right?
I think it's funny because it reminds me of this Tāne that I was working with in the past. And he was kind of referred to me by a concerned whānau member. And I was like, oh yeah, I could touch base. So I called him up and just said hello and introduced myself. And he was like, no, I'm okay. I'm all good, but yeah, okay. And I was like, oh, I'm glad you're all good. I'll check in a month and just give you a call, just check in and see how you're doing. And I did that for a couple of months. And then eventually he kind of come in and see me, and he just kind of, it was easy. He just came in and just talked. And I think for him, even though he was saying he was all right, he was really appreciative of just someone just checking in. Yes. You know what I mean? Just having someone check in. And then I think that kind of helped them be comfortable enough to come in and be like, hey, let's have a chat. And I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah, because the invitation was out there, right? Like the door was open. And I think that's, this is like the remedy right here to the thing that's getting in the way of men dealing with mental health, which is that, oh man, I'm all good. That's the default saying for, I don't want to know about it. I just don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I'm all good.
Yeah. Eventually it changes. I think if you look at it, if you kind of check in, it goes from, oh yeah, it's not that great, but it's all good. Like there's slight changes as we continue to kind of check in, I think.
Yeah.
I think just gotta reach out.
Yeah. What's been your experience in those spaces, Tahi?
My experience
and like creating like a space for another bro, or leaving a door open, or or just saying, oh, if you need a yarn, bro, I'm here.
Well, I think you sort of just said it, bro. As in my whare, we just got an open door policy, bro. The door's always open. Whatever it is, if you need a kai, or if you need to come watch the league, or you need to just come have a yarn. My door's never gonna shut. It's never closed, bro. And it's just leaving the invitation out there for brothers to just be like, always here, my man. Sometimes I'm quite lucky. Bro Kotuku, he's one of my good mates as well. And even now and then we just just chuck each other just oh bro, have you ever been there? Sure. Or just how you doing, or whatever it is, bro. But it is those little things that we can do for each other that just reminds you, that oh yeah, if I ever need anything, and if we can do that to others, and I know I've started doing that to some of my bros that are a lot more heartier than we are, and still have those old school ways, but just leaving it out there so that they know that whenever they need to come have a cry or whatever, bro, we'll cry together, my bro. We'll cry together.
Right, bro. Hey, and sometimes at my bro, I just need to come and shout at someone, bro.
That's it, bro.
I just need to come and shout because, I'm angry. And then I don't want to take this anger home to my father. That's not going to work. I just come over there and just let it out for you, bro. We can haka together.
Oh, hard, man. I've got the old boxing pads and mitts ready to go for the bros and all that. But it's just having that space very created, which I think we need to do more of in society for our men. It's just finding a way, bro, and a resolution on how we can do that for our Tāne, because I feel like these barriers that can get put up, and then also feel like you almost get like one opportunity, bro, with Tāne. So if they come to you and they want help, and then you get turned away, they're probably not going to come back to you for a while, if ever. So if someone comes to you, bro, especially our Tāne, take that, because they've entrusted you, bro. They've entrusted you to come with their mamai to release it. So nurture that, bro. Like we have to nurture that for our men.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Because what I can hear too is that there'll be brothers on the other end of this video right now watching, going, yeah, man, I'm one of those bros. I'm one of those bros who's got time for another bro, but never really thought about, hey, inviting people and say, bro, if you ever need a yarn, and that's what we want to encourage, right? We encourage you brothers who are there, who've got an open heart and got, time and space and got love for another bro. Make that invitation. And then we got other bros who that invitation's been made to, right? Who kind of are like, oh, nah, they might think I'll turn into one of those, I love you bros and give you a hug every time, bros. Nah, that's not me, And that's it, because that's what I've experienced in brothers opening up their doors to me, or, any men's circle I've been into. It's like, when you leave, man, you're like, I love you, bro. I love you for being here for me. And it's weird because my wife came to one of our hui come to pick me up, right? And I was leaving. And she was like, man, I've never seen you saying to other men that I don't know, I love you, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, true. Well, that's the vibe. That's what we're all here to support one another. So when we're leaving with love for one another. Because then we know when we leave with love for one another, we're welcoming each other back to share that love again, And she was blown away. She was like, this is what happened when men get together. I says, this is what happened when we let down the guards enough to get ourselves into the circle, to go, oh man, these brothers are just like me, trying to stay hard, but all the time You know, I want to be with my kids. I want to love my wahine. You know, I want to be a loving, kind, gentle dad. But I had no experience of that when I was growing up. So, man, I don't think I can be that. You know, it really, that's
Even
what we're
saying
doing.
that stuff the way, bro, to like another bro, it's a different feeling. You know, you say it to your wife, and you know, I love you, and you know, they know you do. They can feel it when you're saying it. This is just for myself anyway. Is that it comes across and it's real, like soft, like there's a real softness to it. But if you say it to a bro, it's like it comes out there with like a whole heap of mana, bro, and it's just like you can almost feel it attaching you together and being like, oh yeah, bro, like yeah, and it's like. It's actually, I felt anyway, I feel it was actually one of the hardest things to do was to be able to tell my close mates, you know, bro, I love you, bro. I love you.
But you've always felt that,
but
right? But saying it is weird,
It's weird until you sort of flip the mindset, bro. Until you change the way you think about it and what it means.
Yeah.
And actually feel it, then it's like, yeah.
Oh, it's awesome, bro. We had a reunion with all of my bros I went to boarding school with. And we start turning 50 this year, right? So we thought, well, let's all get together. And this hui, man, like, we sat around in circles sharing ourselves, right? It's been like 30 years since we're at school together. We had a lot to share, but it was just like, man, these brothers have all got me. They got me for my whole life. You know, that was the realization that I had. I was like, wow, I've got a group of brothers that have got me for life. And that after that hui was the first time that we're all telling one another, I love you, bro. You know, but we've known each other since we're 13. You know, but we didn't not telling each other I love you when we were 17. You know, when we're finishing school, and I don't know if I'll ever see you again, bro. But, you know, there was no love yous then, but all these years down the track, it's like, here we are together. We started our journey as teenagers together. Here we are becoming grandfathers. You know, like your brotherhood can see you through your lifetime too, right? I think this is one of the things that our brothers who are like, I got my football team. Think about your football team. You're only going to talk about football and what you do at mahi. You know, you ain't going to talk about the things that really matter to you with a lot of those brothers, not in the football circle anyway. You know, and the hearty korero come probably at the club rooms, you know, 10:30 that night when you've had a few. And that's another way that our brothers are sort of like, that's how they connect too, right? Having beers, you know, getting together and kind of like, you know, sharing some stuff. But a lot of the time, that ain't really the vulnerable stuff. It's just like, this is the hoha stuff I'm going to share with you, right? This is what's pissing me off in the world. You know, that's kind of what happens with a lot of our men. But I can hear there's an opportunity for us to get together, share the love for one another, share the concerns for each other. You know, and for you fellas, I mean, you know, are you fellas involved with any men's circles that are running now in Kirikiriroa? Or do you know of any that are running?
No, I don't. I'm not involved in any. You know, there was I suppose a brief korero that actually come up at Mahi a couple of weeks ago that, you know, it's something that we'll, you know, need to look into is that, now I got asked the question, do you think that there's anything that we'll be able to do for our papas to create this little community? And I was like, actually, yeah. And how that's going to look.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome because you got a whole bunch of men dealing with the same kind of thing in Mokopuna Ora, right? Who are dealing with that, their Mokopuna. And they're going to be having very similar experiences. It'll be on to it to get them sitting in a circle, sharing what they're experiencing and, you know, sharing any solutions or ways that they dealing with that as well. And I actually caught up with Koroki the other day. And he was asking me, he says, you still running men's circles? I was like, man, I'm not running them at the moment. This year I've been so busy doing other stuff. And I think that's what gets in the way as men. We're so busy providing for our families, doing all these things for our communities that, you know, we forget to look after ourselves and to create a space that is about looking after us so we can look after others. You know, and that's what I'm seeing is the impact of us not looking after ourselves. Well, it ends up with, you know, whānau struggling, whānau, you know, just tamariki struggling. So thank you very much, brothers, for, you know, creating this opportunity for other brothers to hear about, you know, the power there is in sharing with other men, sharing yourself with other people, you know, and creating open, safe spaces for others to come and share it. But what I really get from our conversation is the connection, bro. No connection with other brothers. That's like the most important thing. And so to wind it up, Kotuku, any last words for you for any of our brothers that are listening now?
I guess throughout a korero, I had this thought about this pūrākau. It's something I heard throughout my life is that there were two sons and they had a father that drank a lot, and one of them never drank again, and the other one was a drinker. And I think you know, we have the power and the opportunity to choose what our outcome's going to be, no matter who came before us. You know, we have that mana, we have the opportunity to do that. It's just up to us to choose.
Powerful words, bro. Yep. Choose life. Yeah, you got the power to choose is what I hear, bro.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you, brother. And anything from you, Tahi?
I just think very talk brothers, you know. Just talk, keep on talking. Find someone to talk to, reach out for help. There's no shame in getting counseling, no shame in getting any sort of therapy to help. But just, you know, be open and honest with yourself. You can do it for yourself, then you'll be able to do it.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Some authentic words from the heart, brothers. Thank you both very much. And I suppose what I've got to end on really is that, you know, as Tāne, we have so many expectations on us. You know, so many things for us to provide for our families, and you know, so many things for us to create for our families. And the awesome thing is when you combine with a whole bunch of other brothers doing that, you've got a mean-ass team, you know, mean-ass team to back you up in what you're creating in your life. So, hey, man, get around a circle with a whole bunch of brothers, see what we can create for our whānau, our communities, our tamariki. Right, brothers, mihi nui tēnei kia koutou. Kia koutou e mātakitaki mai ana, e mihi hoki tēnei kia koutou. That is our Tāne episode for this, you know, for this podcast. Tēnei punua pāho, e kia nei ko te Kura Arotea. Can we talk for a minute? Thank you for the talk, brothers. Ate wā, te whānau. Ate wā.